Okay, fire away, guys.
Hey, Kevin, when we talked to Deshaun, and I think it was minicamp, he said something like the offensive structure and foundation of this team, but everything else is new. How would you describe kind of the changes from last year to this year?
It's so hard to describe. It's hard to because every scheme. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Every scheme you better be evolving every single year. So structure-wise, how we call things remains the same in some areas, and then some you want to change some verbiage. You want to shorten some verbiage. So we're trying to always challenge the guys and give them some newness every year, sometimes every week, so that they're prepared for how game plans adjust week to week. But to say in total how different it will look, I think all those remain to be seen, and really that's what we're working through throughout training camp.
With Anthony and Sione, obviously they weren't put on pup or anything like that. Do you guys have got sort of a plan of how you want to kind of ramp them up?
Yeah, and they're both different, and that's kind of they're both coming off different injuries, so per doctors and per trainers. Recommendations will bring them both along in a little bit different way, but for now they'll be off this side getting some work, and then in these walkthroughs and those type of things are great for them to get some live quote-unquote reps, but we'll see how it goes, and that's the nice part of having a little bit longer training camp, give them some time to get ready.
When you talk about the offense evolving, how much input does Deshaun have, and how does that process look like? Does he give you suggestions?
Oh yeah, quite a bit. And I think, again, that's not anything new to what we do. I'm sure every team does it. But when the quarterback likes to play, I like to play. And we've talked about this before. There's so much football. There's so much scheme. You can get on the board and draw 1,000 plays, and they're all good. But when the quarterback's comfortable with the play, he typically makes it work. And so that's for us as we design everything. It's always making sure that it fits Deshaun's eye. Maybe it's a concept that he's done over the years. Maybe it's a concept that we both saw and he really likes. We're going to try it out. So that's really what the spring is for. That's what, as we get going here into our installs, seeing what fits him, seeing what fits our entire offense, what fits Nick, what fits the line, what fits our pass catchers. That's kind of the work that we're doing right now. But I don't know that you're worth your salt if you're not taking the quarterback's input in what you're putting together.
Ultimately, do you put a limit on the volume of your playbook? And is it bigger now with Deshaun here all year?
I don't know that it's bigger. That's volume's something we talk about all the time, Tony, because you don't want to do too much either. Because then it becomes diluted. So we think long and hard about giving our guys a system that makes sense, that's difficult for the defense to defend, but you try to be too much, and then you're not really good at anything. So I think you got to think long and hard, and all conversations that we've had throughout the spring, what you want to hang your hat on, what do you want to be good at, what do you want to have that complements what you do, but volume's a big conversation that we have all the time, because the other part of that is you want to put in a system on offense, defense, and special teams that your guys can play fast, and all of a sudden when you have too much volume, that tends to slow people down.
Speaking of Nick, the evolution of this offense, in what ways can that help?
Yeah, I think Nick's a huge part of our offense. Obviously, handing it to him, throwing it to him, he's been adept at both. Where we go as you evolve, and maybe different run types come in for him, but I think we have very good empirical data on what he's good at, and it's tried and true. So that part of what we are will always be with Nick in mind. But Nick himself, I don't know that there's limits to him as a player. I think he's a schematic fit really in anything you do.
So the more you spread the field, do you think that could create more opportunities for him? Whereas, at times in the past when you get in 3-2 tight end sets.
Potentially, yeah. Again, he's been successful in a bunch of different areas. I think Nick's a good runner when you spread it out. Nick's a good runner when you try to block everybody. So I think he fits in all of it.
Kevin, about you said that what Nick does well, him running out of the shotgun versus
yeah. Yeah, I think he's good at it all. I think that's what the data shows. Yeah, data shows he's good from the gun, good from the pistol, good from the dot, as we say when the quarterback's under center. So we talk a lot about versatility in offense. it's nice to have a runner that really you can run anything with Nick. There's some runners that really prefer downhill gap scheme runs and maybe aren't great from the gun. There's some runners that are better from the gun and better on perimeter type schemes. Nick's good at it all.
But historically, in the NFL, running out of the shotgun has been less productive. But has it evolved to the point where it is?
Well, I think,
More productive?
yeah, it's interesting. You know, when you talk about running from the shotgun, now you do have the opportunity to have RPOs when you're in the shotgun, more so than from under center. So you'd have to really look at the run plays from the gun and also know that some of those pass plays were originally run. So I think they all work together.
So the difference is having a quarterback who can do the RPO.
For just in general, you're saying, or for us?
With the running game out of the shotgun.
Yeah,
You wouldn't do it with a drop back quarterback.
well, not necessarily. I mean, you look at what Philly did with Nick Foles, you know, in Chip Kelly's system. So I think, again, they all work. It all draws up on the board. It's really you and we have to make a decision on what fits our guys the best.
When you talked about Kevin, to double back and
Yeah.
stuff with Nick, when you were laying out, okay, we're going to do this and this and this, how, I'm assuming he's pretty receptive of it, but I was just wondering, I think maybe not every back is exactly that way.
That's true. Nick's a different breed, and he's all about the team. You mentioned receptive. He's receptive to really everything we ask him to do, and that's not just from a game perspective, but from out here on the field and in the meeting rooms and in the weight room. He's an unbelievable leader because he leads from out in front. I know he doesn't outwardly. A lot of people say, "Wow, Nick's so quiet." You know, I think he is at times, but when he's around his teammates, he's not quiet. I mean, he can be vocal, but I think he leads from doing the right thing all the time. That's one of the things we joke about as coaches. You know, you never have to worry about Nick. Really, you tell him to do anything, he's going to do it exactly how it was coached to be done.
When you see those videos of him squatting and that bar's bending like it is, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that dude's strong. I'm thinking I hope he's safe. I hope the spotters are safe. But you know, Nick works his butt off. He's down there at his high school. He's got an amazing relationship at his high school and in his hometown. And I think about how lucky those young kids are to be around a guy like Nick and see it done at such a high level.
Kevin, you never had a question about Deshaun's commitment and his dedication to his craft. You said he loves to talk ball.
Yeah.
Have you seen that at another level in year two?
I wouldn't necessarily say another level, but you know, I think about I was walking through the locker room up in Berea a couple days ago, and it was quarterbacks had not even reported yet, and he's sitting in his locker looking at plays. Like, what are you doing here, man? You know, so he's a junkie. He's a gym rat. You got to shoo him out of the facility. He's always been that way. And that's what I think his teammates see from him. I think that's what his teammates love about him is they know how committed he is to the team.
How has the
Will he be sliding protections and things like that? You know, when he gets more autonomy, at the line and different things, will he slide protections?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
What kinds of things will he be taking upon his position?
Yeah, I mean that's part of that job as a quarterback. You got the best view of anybody when it comes to the protection world. We're very, very fortunate to have Ethan and Nick Harris, who are very intelligent. We had obviously J.C. Pryor, so we've had really smart centers that can work together in conjunction with the quarterback. But yeah, the quarterback has all that ability to move protections. We spend a lot of time on that. I think Alex Van Pelt's outstanding at teaching protections, and that's something that we're spending a lot of time on now.
How have you seen Deshaun's ownership of that leadership role, not just offensively, but just collectively, the team evolve this year, maybe compared to what it was last year?
Yeah, hard to compare to last year. I would just tell you, leadership is something that Deshaun has been. It's come very natural to him his entire life. I mean, you go back to high school days, winning championships, college, the pros, playing at a high level, but it's always been easy for him to be out in front, to address the team, to address his teammates, to develop relationships, real authentic relationships for his teammates. That's very natural for him. So I think with our players and when it comes to leadership, I just want to get the best version of them, and the version of Deshaun is one that's very out in front.
In what ways has your partnership with him evolved from the first time you met him? Presumably that was
Yeah, well, I think with any player, you're constantly learning about each other on a personal level, and then on a football level, for sure, you're trying to find out what fits, what you like, those type of things. But the more time you're around anybody, you get to know them better. So certainly, we spend a ton of time together, just in that quarterback room with AVP and the quarterbacks. I mean, that's really where you're bunkered, you're holed up with that crew for a lot of time. So we have a lot of conversations about a lot of different things.
You know, from a demeanor standpoint, Deshaun this year compared to last year, everything that he had on his mind, do you notice more of a lightness of being? Is he, less?
I would. That's a good question, Mary Kay. I would ask Deshaun that. I'd let him speak to that. Again, I would tell you, I see a very committed football player.
In 2017, when you were with the Vikings, did you do any interviewing of quarterbacks in the draft? Did you meet Deshaun back then?
I did not meet Deshaun back then. You'd have to tell me who else was in that class.
Yeah, Mahomes, Trubisky.
Yeah, yeah. I talked to a few of those guys at the combine. I did not talk to Deshaun though, if my memory
You were
serves me.
involved in the process.
For sure, yeah.
Kevin, there's a lot of discussion league wide about the value of a running back in today's game. Is a play caller is a running back still as valuable as it once was?
I mean, for us, it is. I mean, we got the best in the business, in my opinion. I know that conversation, and I know it's complicated, but for us, we're thrilled with the guys we have.
How do you think it's gotten to this point? Why do you feel like it's gotten where you see guys like Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs? And I'm not asking you to speak specifically to those, but get to that point where.
I went to Penn, but I wasn't in Morton, the business school, so I'm not smart enough to give you a economic dissertation.
Along those lines, though, when Nick Chubb's not in the game, you've got guys who want to step up. So when Nick Chubb's not playing, what makes the running back position valuable to the Browns when it's not Nick Chubb on the field?
Yeah, we've had a lot of success just in our time here with Kareem and Dearness Johnson, and we feel confident in our run schemes. We feel really confident in our offensive line, our tight ends. So we're high on that running back room. But it's like anything else. It's not just one person. And even Nick would tell you that he needs 10 other guys doing their job to be effective in the run game.
Thank you.
All right, thanks guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, fire away, guys.
Kevin, when we talked to Deshaun, and I think it was minicamp, he said something like the offensive structure and foundation of the same, but everything else is new. How would you describe kind of the changes from last year to this year?
It's so hard